this roundtable discussion brought to you by ET Energy World in association with Pipeline Infrastructure. I'm Pooja Bothra. I'm Associate Editor at ETB2B, and I really welcome you to this discussion on a very topical topic, which is women leading the charge, pioneering change in the energy sector. So let's begin with a round of introduction. Please share your name, designation, your organization name, and one word that best describes your diversity strategy for leadership role. So I want to know it only via one word. So let's start with you, Anuradha.
Okay, sure. Hi everybody. It's lovely to see the word women, since that's getting eroded now from a lot of language around the world. So thank you so much. I'm Anuradha. I am the Executive Director and I'm a Senior Researcher at the South Asia Women Foundation India. We are a women's fund, and the one word that I would use to describe diversity is internalization.
Hi everyone, I'm Vibhuti Garg, Director South Asia with Institute for Energy, Economics and Financial Analysis, IEFA. We are a global finance think tank, and I think one word I would say is how dynamic the organization is. So I would say in terms of reflecting the inclusivity, it's dynamism.
Hi everyone, this is Gauri Johar. I lead our energy transitions and clean tech consulting practice for S&P Global Commodity Insights. And lovely to be here. Thank you to Pipeline Infra and Anandita and Manali for really organizing this. You all really raise the bar each time you do events. In terms of diversity, I think the word I would say is celebration. Celebrating diversity, and I will share that S&P Global in India is rated as the top 10 employers for women by Great Place to Work.
Hi, I'm Parvati Pandit. I represent Hero Future Energies. I lead HR as CHRO, and I also head IT, admin, and CSR functions. I've been with the company from the beginning. I'm the 9th employee when the company started its renewable arm. Having spent almost 22 years in the energy sector, larger, I'll say gas pipelines, and now into hardcore renewables. I'm happy that, this sector is now picking up topics like women participation, which I've been harping for ages, but it was not considered as a subject that people need to put efforts and time and energy on it. So I'm happy and I'm thankful to the organizers of this roundtable that we are actually discussing all this. On one word that you asked, I'll say accelerating, because at the end of the day, like what women say, and there's a saying that, now we're not ready to wait for 137 years that for equality to be there. So even in our company, we say that let's not wait, let's speed up all our efforts to ensure women participation is increased in the sector.
So I am Swastika Chakravarti Sachdeva. I am with Think Gas. This is an organization in the sector of natural gas retail, and this is biggest natural gas retail company in Pan India in the private sector. The brand names are Think Gas in North and AGP Pratham, AGP City Gas in South. We are intaking the gas from GAIL and IOL and distributing to all different locations across 59 total districts. And biggest challenge for us is having women in every location, even if it is very, very remote. So one word is women everywhere, in every location, I would say.
Good afternoon all. I am Manju Gupta. I am working in Power Grid Corporation of India Limited. I am Executive Director there. Right now I am posted as Deputy CEO in CTU, Central Transmission Utility, which is responsible for planning all the transmission system of all over India and its interconnection with the neighboring countries. And for making all the policy frameworks for this growth of the transmission sector. As you asked one word for the diversity, I would say two words: being valued.
Great. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Manali Naguri. I'm part of Pipeline Infrastructure Limited. I head HR and admin at Pipeline Infrastructure. Pipeline infrastructure is into natural gas transportation, running from Kakinada to Bharuch. It is erstwhile also known as East-West Pipeline of India. It's one of the longest pipeline, cross-country pipeline in India. For us, diversity means commitment. So if there is no commitment, then, I mean, I don't know where it'll go.
Yeah, good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Rishika Sharan. I am from Central Electricity Authority, Ministry of Power. And presently I am holding the post of Chief Electrical Inspector as well as Member Secretary of National Power Committee. So my works involve the inspection of all the electrical equipment as well as the policy and formation of regulations. And for grid, and as a member secretary of NPC, I am involved in the modernization and all the grid related issues for energy transition. So as a one word, I will say that take the responsibility.
Hello all, my name is Preeti Bajaj. I am the CEO and Managing Director for Luminous Power Technologies. For all of those who have not heard about Luminous, hopefully you have our inverter or a battery at home. Either way, we are an energy solutions and a power solutions company, both in renewables. One word I would describe this discussion around is inclusion, but not inclusion necessarily from the point of just the diversity of women, but also from the point of view of power structures which exist in organizations.
So thank you everyone for those wonderful introduction. This is actually a power circle. I mean, all of you bring to this table experience of really many, many years, and there is also diversity with respect to what you do in your organization. I mean, we've got like fund managers and we've got CEOs and we've got engineers, and you know, I can really look forward to an amazing discussion wherein we've got great takeaways, and you know, there can be a follow-up individually for all of you as well as for ET Energy World to, you know, bring forth whatever valuable takeaways we've had from this discussion and also implement some of the ideas in our organizations. I'd like to invite Anandita. You know, they are our co-curators for this roundtable to, you know, share the idea behind this roundtable and what next.
Good afternoon, everyone, and firstly, a very warm welcome and a heartfelt appreciation. Thank you for accepting our invite and being here with us today. So, though I prepared my notes on a cue card saying this is what I'm going to speak, so I think I've literally left my card on my seat. And the only thing I could think of is, you know, when a lot of people are asking that, is it, I'm sure Preeti asked me of, you know, is it a follow-up to something? How did you guys come up with this thing, right? So I'll tell you the story behind it and hand it over to Pooja from there. Gauri will be aware. So we do our annual event in Jan called the Annual Gas Forum, wherein we invite the entire India gas sector for a collaboration to network, to learn, to deliberate about the challenges that the Indian gas sector has been facing and where are we progressing as an entire industry, right? So after we've done successfully 3 editions of it, and we do it in collaboration with ET Energy, and S&P Global is our knowledge partner. So post the second session, internally we were sitting at PIL office discussing, you know, what we did well, what is to be changed, you know, and all. So the only thing my feedback to my MD and my other team members in the team was कि सब कुछ हुआ, discussion हुआ, key takeaways भी आ गए, but then the only women faces was Anandita, Gauri, and 2-3 of us from ET, and Manali was there, our other members from the technical team from Bombay. Right, but this is us. We are the organizers, but where are the other people, right? Why are we only having men in every panel discussion? So that's where this concept actually originated, and because the question was mine, our MD very nicely said, Anandita, now take it forward. You know, you do something about it. So then
we have a word for it, manels.
So Akhil was like कि ठीक है तुम कर लो फिर तुमने idea दिया अब तुम करो इसको कैसे करना है. So I was like okay because and it's trust me it wasn't easy. So this year when we did it in Jan our AGF the only thing we did we mandated that we will bring in one woman in our energy sector on each and every panel that we had, and trust me we could do it. It was not easy. We really had to find people, and I'm going to take this platform, all of you, and extend the invite next year for sure to all of you to come and experience, because it was a challenge, and I think it took us 3 years to do it, but we were able to do it. So this time, apart from Gauri and Manali and me and other faces, we had a lot of other women as leaders and panel, right? So that's where it originated. And like Manali said, for PIL, diversity, DEI is not something that is sat and thought through ki, oh, now what do we do for this? For us, DEI is involved in everything, in every decision that PIL takes. It's a part and parcel of our daily to-do lists, and we don't treat it as just a one-time agenda saying, okay, we've achieved this and hence now we can leave it. So that's not how we see it. And again, a very warm welcome. Thank you for coming, and I really hope you guys find, and you know, the key takeaways that we come up with, I hope it really helps you, because we would like to continue this forum like we have done for our annual gas forum. We would like to make this also like an annual event wherein we can keep connecting with all, and like Pooja said, all this is like a powerhouse, like all of you are here. So thank you so much. Our MD couldn't actually make it due to some business exigency. He had to travel to Bangalore. So we have Akhil, he sent out a video message for us. So let's have a look at that.
Good evening all, and thank you for taking time out to come and discuss this important topic on DEI. And my sincere apologies for not able to make it physically and be part of these deliberations. However, I thought, let me give you my perspective on diversity, equity and inclusion, and also leave you with some thoughts which you can discuss and deliberate. I think diversity is by now well understood and also well articulated, I'll say. However, the challenge is, how do we kind of make people understand to be more inclusive once you have inducted diversity into your organizations? And this challenge is not easy because this change is more behavioral among the employees, and also kind of we need to potentially or possibly educate them, sensitize them, and also do some interventions to bring this cultural change. Also, you would have heard recent challenges come from countries like US, where there have been a change in, I'll say, thought process in the US government that diversity possibly is the reason for some of the non-performances. However, I still believe that there are multiple case studies to prove that the benefits, including to the bottom line, which diversity and DI brings. In India, luckily, I think DI still remains on top of the agenda of all the corporates, led by gender diversity, I'll say. However, there are challenges specifically in infra and the energy sector, which we are discussing today. And these challenges are due to potentially remote working and also silent hour working of the way infrastructure sector and the sectors like oil and gas and energy works. There are solutions to it, and I believe we will be seeing substantial increase in women workforce participation in these companies as years go by. There are other challenges for women. We have seen that we don't have many women in senior positions and also C-suite. And the reasons for that, potentially women have to take breaks post their maternity, and some don't come back, and hence that affects their career. So, but there are solutions to this. They have to have the support systems. So what I want is, these are the larger issues which we still face in the industry. And you have a lot of incredible people sitting in the room. I'm confident you'll discuss these solutions, these problems, and also likely solutions, I'll say, to these problems, because each one of you would be solving in your own way and come to a common consensus on way forward. Thank you again, and have great deliberations, and have a great evening ahead. Thank you very much.
That that was a very
And-
heartfelt address, and it's a great way to kickstart the discussion. So, you know, two things that are of predominant importance right now is that these sectors, the energy sectors and the infrastructure, has lagged. You know, these sectors have actually lagged behind when you come to DEI numbers. I just want to throw in some facts to you, which is that at present, women currently make up approximately 22% of workforce in India's energy sector, significantly lower than the global average of 32%. Similarly, in 2024, women represented 22.4% of the global workforce in the infrastructure sector, showing a very slight increase from 2016. That means in the 8 years that have gone by, other sectors such as finance and IT/ITS has shown great improvement, but the energies and infrastructure sectors have not shown. So what are some of the critical challenges that limits the access to leadership roles for women? Is it unconscious bias? Is it lack of mentorship, or is it lack of formal education to begin with? In comparison to, you know, women opting for careers in computers and finance, are they really doing in chemical and civil engineering? So how can that be solved? So in next hour or so, we will discuss the growing role of women in energy and infra sector. Given the fact that energy sector, especially the clean energy sector, is going to generate up to 1.5 million jobs by 2030. So definitely there are going to be jobs, but how can we channelize women to get into these jobs? So initially we did an exercise, you know, wherein we took one word from you. So we are going to build on those words right now. So some of you spoke about internalization. So is this only a, you know, decision maker or top leadership decision to boost DEI, or the last employee in the line is, you know, ready to have an inclusive mindset? Because we've seen in organization that there are managers who could be biased, who could be a little bit toxic, but they are important for the business, so they get retained. And that really impacts the DEI strategy, because probably they're not very inclusive in their nature, and that would make, difficult for women employees to survive, or other, marginal employees to survive. Somebody spoke about dynamics, celebration. Are we really celebrating women in the workforce, and how you can celebrate and how you can boost their careers? Acceleration. Are we going very slow? It's time to press the accelerator. Progressive. Is the culture progressive? Is the leadership progressive? Is the decision making progressive? Somebody said everywhere. We don't want the numbers only from urban or tier 1, tier 2 cities, but it should also go to the most tier 4, tier 5 remote cities. Are the women employees valued? Commitment. So, you know, commitment at every level. You know, there comes pay parity, there comes equal opportunity, democracy of learning, skilling. So commitment, responsibility, and like Preeti mentioned, inclusion. So Preeti, I'd like to come to you only, and I would like to ask you that energy and infrastructure have lacked diversity numbers. Where do you actually see it, and what should the industry do to improve DEI?
I think one of the things that I certainly reflect on with respect to DEI in the energy space in particular, and infra, you could probably extend the comment, but with caution, is that number one piece is, I think there is no aspiration in women with respect to these sectors. You can't go and build someone's career if they don't even aspire to it. So this aspiration is somehow taking place a little bit earlier in the piece. You could attribute it to many, many things. One of the things is the formality of this in the education sector with respect to great jobs being envisioned. I was sharing with you, Pooja, we don't even have a renewable energy engineering degree in the country. Now contrast that to Australia or the US, there are formalized renewable engineering qualifications underpinning which you can actually do computer applications as well. Why that's important is because then that means that at a point in time in your life, if you wish to switch to the digital part of this large scale infrastructure play, that signal is being embedded in your DNA as education very early in the piece. You can do it. But you can't do it, or may have challenge doing it, I would say, if it's not even being offered to you in the first place. There is no vision for it. This also is because, at least in renewables, what I would say, particularly in fragmented renewables, connected grid technologies, smart grid technologies, and we have established people here from Central Electricity Authority. We are coming into this idea now. We will have enough distributed energy resources that have to connect to the grid. What that means and how that will create some, I mean, when you think about the software industry, people kind of think of basic software as a service applications. They don't think of energy that it also has software, it also has network optimization. So somewhere I think the envisioning of what's possible is certainly an opportunity. That's number one. I guess for women it's lackluster. It's like मैं pipeline के आगे खड़ी हूँ या कहाँ खड़ी हूँ, मतलब उन्हें पता ही नहीं है कि इसके आगे भी सेंसर लगता है और वो भी centralized unit पे network operations center में ही दिखता है. That's software. That's analytical. I mean, otherwise why would women be in geospatial technology? So it's how we are positioning it, perhaps presents some opportunity. Second piece is, I think, interoperability in types of engineerings. Our mindset seems to be that if you have done mechanical, you can never go to chemical. But I can tell you, I have a big portion of battery technology people in my company, and a lot of them come from the mechanical engineering discipline. Men don't seem to have a problem with doing mechanical and then saying, मैं कर लूँगा, chemical भी कर लूँगा. Somewhere, I don't know what it is that we feel कि, जब तक मैंने exact में and seriously, कि space के rocket nanomaterials थोड़ी ना कर रहे हैं हम काम पे. If you were in nanomaterials R&D, then I understand that you have to have very deep nanomaterials, material sciences background. But if you are in product development, I'm not so sure if you need that, so long as companies have a repository of upskilling. Third piece is more inward looking. For us, we realize that we have to build skills into people. Yeah. I'm not talking about just women, because solar is a new space, storage and lithium ion is a new space. I sit with many of the battery storage CEOs as well. I can tell you, men on lithium ion are scratching equal number of hair as I am. So it's not different for them. The skills are relatively new. I mean, we went through an era where we could not switch on the machines in assembly plants. Aapko to pata hi hoga, because we don't have the skills to run those machines in the factories. We had to all go to China. Men, women alike. Here, diversity had a totally different meaning. It meant progressive technology. It actually did not mean gender. An experience. Ma'am, aap agree karoge na? Abhi same thing is happening with solar cells. Isn't it? We don't know. The country doesn't know how to do polysilicon and ingots. Now, if we want to do ingots, what are we going to do? This goes down to tech. And tech is a great leveler. So everyone's new. I don't think women know this. That actually the men don't know and the women don't know. The nation needs to know. No. And I think so the nation needs to know, and we are in a real upskilling mode. I mean, I can tell you, I had to open 7 solar academies of my own. Wow. I had to go and build a partnership with the University of New South Wales so that my guys could understand at the cell reliability level what is the PV supply chain. Sorry for the boring jargon, but here's the whole thing. Infrastructure engineering is down to materials, and materials need expertise, and that's not all available in an educational institution. It's typically available with industry working with R&D. Right. And you learn in shorter cycles. So the older adage that energy is not software, the older adage that energy is actually about a specific things, all of those have been disrupted, but for some goddamn reason, we are still a little bit inward looking or backward looking. I'm not an expert on gas, so I will refrain my commentary on gas. But in terms of the broader sort of, if you're talking about hydrogen, it's all new. Yeah. True. Even going to the space is new. Yeah. This morning I read that Airbus is contemplating India for a final assembly line potentially. That's new. Now, think about, if most people think that energy industry is old-fashioned, I can tell you with sustainable aviation fuels, women will open themselves up to aerodynamics. Right. Why they don't want to be in high-growth industries? But we are not positioning it that way, that this is the gateway to high growth industries of the next 50 years. And that's probably where I'll stop.
Amazing points, Preeti. And I mean, you spoke a lot in such little time, and there have been very, very strong points. But I just want to build up on this last one, that certain skills are in short supply. So what best can be done to channelize women to pick up those skills and get jobs? Because definitely India, our average age is 29 today. So there is a whole lot of talent, human capital, waiting to be mobilized for the India so-called growth story. So I'd like to hear some more opinions around it, that, she mentioned a few of them, and please build up on that. Also, covering this aspect. Yeah, sure.
The skills and all the new things are coming on way. And certainly, just as Preeti said, that men and women both are new to, for both these things are new. And with proper skills and trainings, and actually in India what we lag behind is training and skill development. Now government has recognized that skill development is equally important, that to bring all the persons engaged in work to get the things, know what are the things, what are the technologies that are coming up, or what the new things are going up. It is equal for both men and women. And for women actually it is more important, because men, I think they do more PR, so they get more information. I see that this is the first time that we are meeting, but similar kind of thing for men, they do on roadside also, or in office also. So they do lot of PR, or they do lot of exchange of ideas they do, but we don't actually. I think we women lag in this, on this criteria, and we should be more informative. We should be more focus on the recent development that are going on, and accordingly we should upgrade ourselves. And if our organization is not doing so, we should, and is not doing so, we should go to them and ask. Ask is also one of the things that I think that if you are feeling that you are leaving behind, then you go and ask that this type of training or this type of skill development I require, my team requires for doing this job, or whatever new responsibility I have been bestowed upon. So this kind of challenge, we can do it. There is no problem, we can do it. So one thing is that I think that we should ask. Second thing is that mentorship also is very important actually. In women we lag this kind of thing, and in this whatever I know, I should share with others. Then only I should share with women also, and they should also come to ask what are the things that as a senior leadership you are having experience of so many years, and what are the things that you think that we should do. That kind of I can give better mentorship to them, that these are the things that you have to keep in mind while taking this job, while to do this job more efficiently. So these are the things we should look upon for betterment of training skills and this mentorship, and ask these are the things that I want to focus upon.
No, what I feel is that probably for women looking for jobs, they may think this industry is predominantly suited for men. So do you all do certain kind of drives to kind of clear that particular let's say delusion or whatever, that women are equally welcome to be part of this industry, and there are jobs and they will be supported? So
Can I
any response there?
yeah. We are, I would say, on the other side rather. Our leadership is 80% represented by women, which is not a common thing to see. So maybe we are an outlier in this space. But clearly, out of 8 people, initially we had nine people leadership team with 3 men, but now it's just left to 8 people team with just 1 man. So that's the way it is skewed. Having been spent 20 years in this energy sector, I would say I have seen a lot of transformation in the last 20 years. But that transformation, I would say, is not equitable, in the sense it depends on what part of the value chain are we talking about. I can definitely see in the research space or a think tank space, or there are more and more women. So not only at the leadership level, say we are a research organization, I have seen, if I look the overall gender bias, again, more than 50% are women globally, and I'm not just talking about India. So as far as, again, we were talking about what kind of training courses are being offered right from the beginning. So we have seen a change happening. Say, for example, climate has become a more globally, acceptable topic, and so much of interest from the new generation that they are taking up environmental sciences as courses, which was not there in our era. It never existed. I mean, it was one of the smaller course you would do, but it wasn't a training, full-fledged course. But as far as if you are looking at the technical skills, definitely there is a lack of, even from engineering background, where all the technical aspects were concerned, maybe somebody working on the battery space or solar module, there definitely is a much bigger need of having those courses designed, having those skill set designed. People still go for very, I would say, very similar kind of engineering courses, whether it's mechanical, chemical, electrical, and even within electrical, we are still following what technologies of the past, which were existed earlier. So whether it's oil, coal, but people are not being trained on electrical engineering as far as the renewable energy is concerned. It's still not as mainstream yet. So as I said, there is a lot of focus on climate courses, environmental sciences, but as far as the technical skill sets are concerned, we are still lacking. There is a Green Council job, but is it coming up with enough courses, or is it again targeting which section of the whole value chain? So that's where the gap is. So we definitely need more and more such courses, but things have changed. And then we are seeing, I would say, not only just being part of how do we also encourage women-led enterprises? So that's another kind of a big change that we would want to see. And for that, there are a lot of systematic changes that needs to come in, whether it's the policies that support, for example, the work-life balance, I mean your work-life policies that are again can promote your access to finance, coming from again a finance think tank. How we have seen in 2021, it was the amount of investments going into the climate space, only 2% was gender responsive. So that's the scale, again the lack of ability for women entrepreneurs to access the formal, investment market, debt, equity, that's also becoming a big bottleneck. So how do we kind of address those gaps also? So yeah, I just wanted to highlight some of these.
Yeah. Anecdotes, like how, I liked what Manali said about commitment, because commitment is a daily thing. It's not something which one does as part of a speech or, in an interaction. And I'll just share 2 anecdotes from my own teams and, working in S&P. I many times have a conversation with my male colleagues, because when we are hiring, myself and my team members, I tell them we have to make sure we are inclusive in our hiring. Now, what that means is that there are times when there are 2 equally qualified people. One is a man and one is a woman. And I tell the team, we go with the woman. And I've had conversations with my male colleagues where they're like, but Gauri, how does this work? I mean, like, why will you not choose the man? And I'm like, I'm like, because there is a gap we are trying to address, right?
Right.
And if we don't address that gap and we keep saying, nahi chalo, it's okay, it will never be addressed, right? So this is not about discriminating, this is about addressing a gap. And I said, till we, address that gap, we can't change that. That
Right.
commitment has to be there. And it was a very conscious thing that we did. The second thing was on training, right? I started my career in the upstream side, then the gas side of the business, and I kind of moved along, and now I'm in the renewables and sort of this side. So I've kind of seen the entire energy value chain. And what I find interesting is what actually Preeti also said, was that this whole space is new. That's the beauty of it. It is new, and there are many options. You can become a solar expert, you can become a wind expert, you can become a nuclear expert today, and in nuclear there are so many things like nuclear medicine, nuclear isotopes. I mean, the world is your oyster really to choose which technology and what. And one interesting thing that I found is that everybody we have hired, they're all generally, like economists, like Vibhuti, myself and others, they're finance people. So it's about skilling, right? And there's a fantastic course which Stanford offers, which I have done, my entire team has done. It's the School of Professional Continuing Studies. It is like $500, and it gives you it gives you a degree from Stanford online, never mind. But, and I think the pandemic opened those possibilities for us, right? So my whole team is Stanford educated. They have, this degree where they educate on all the different economics of the clean energy transition and all the different technologies. So battery storage systems is there, and they keep adding new ones. They've added they do LCOE calculations, and what my team really liked was that they even give the Excel files. So you have the LCOEs, even for transport, the LCO calculations for transport. So I think we need to maybe get away from the mindset that you can't become an engineer of everything.
Right.
To your point that men, they wing it, right? They get on with it. So you do the skilling aspect and become smart about skilling, because we all have the baseline degrees of, we're all either economists or MBA finances or something, and those are enough to get you going. So that's just on an anecdotal side.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting point, Gauri, and like how you've been able to tell your team that two people, equal ground, let's hire the female. So I want to ask you all that, do you have the board's buy-in for diversity and inclusion? And if you were to stick with women diversity, because we don't have that much time, so do you have the board buy-in? And how are the policies, designed? What goes on into that? Maybe we could discuss that.
I'll very quickly say we have a woman CEO. So,
Hi, I'm Anju. I represent a 90-plus-year-old climate and energy tech solutions provider, Danfoss, and I'm also the co-chair of CII Sustainable Manufacturing Panel. And I'm very happy to kind of share the views today. So we are discussing about energy being something new, but this is something which has been there around for the last 90+ years for my company and so on. But what is new right now is in our, now there are a lot of talks about ESG, and in our ESG pillar, the third pillar is DEI. So we have picked up decarbonization, circularity, and DEI. And one of the usual questions which we get is, okay, decarbonization and circularity is fine. Why do you have DEI in your ESG aspect? And the simple thing which I answer is, who's going to do all this? It is only people who are going to do it. And that is the reason why DEI is the foundation. People are the foundation of everything which is there. And we are still talking about including more women in the workforce. And I come from an industry which is primarily into HVACR solutions, which is the biggest energy guzzler in whole of the industry. And can you guess the percentage of women in HVACR across the globe? We are all talking about climate change, the need for cooling, need for heating. The percentage of women in HVACR across the globe is less than 5%. And the percentage of women in HVACR in India is less than 2%. I'm being extremely kind when I'm saying less than 2%.
I don't think there's anybody
No?
So even when I'm in the room and
Except
ask,
you.
but this less than 2% is the industry which has got the potential to grow 10x by 2030 in India. And more than 1 million jobs are available just in the green HVACR sector. And as Preeti ma'am said, maybe one of the major reasons is maybe we have failed to make this a lucrative career opportunity. Today we are working on improving women in STEM, women in HVACR, and we have kind of taken a phased approach towards the same. So in the schools we are working especially, and I'm also happy to share that I'm coming from Chennai, which is the only state which has got above 43% women in workforce, and this has actually happened because of equal contribution from the state as well as the industries. From the state end, there are different programs like Pudume Pen, New Woman, and free education, free bus transport for women, as well as policies which are a little bit more flexi to kind of get more women into the workforce. And even it has changed the laws to allow women to work in night shifts with secure protection to go back and forth. So maybe that is one of the reasons which is increasing. On the other front, what industries have done is promote STEM education amongst girl students, especially in the government schools, by creating something called climate and energy clubs to get them a little bit more accustomed to things like climate change, which is real, and the opportunities which exist in the same. And that is one. The second is through our university engagement programs, wherein we have set up centers of excellence in key primary educational institutes across the country, and do decarbonization awareness sessions, climate and energy sessions in the same, to get them more familiar to the opportunities which exist. And third, maybe we are, once women get into the workforce, so as a European company, we follow the human rights. So when someone is coming in, we do not ask them even what is their gender. Obviously, I mean, through insurance and all these things we'll come to know, but as a policy, we cannot ask anybody their age, their gender, or the standard questions like, tell me about yourself, tell me about your family, when are you planning to get married, when are you planning to have children. None of these questions kind of come into the purview. And once they are in, we're one of the very few companies who have a 24/7 full-fledged daycare system in the office, which is a factory which has got a daycare system, and one of the first companies to introduce 1 year maternity leave. So 6 months of maternity plus 3 months work from home, so that the mother and the mother gets back into the official system, and another 3 months where she can choose to work maybe 2 days in a week from office and from the house. So maybe this is another way. And moving forward, if people kind of make it to the mid-level, we've got something called She Elevate, because sometimes the biggest enemies of women are women themselves, because the guilt tripping which kind of comes from the family. Oh, she's a career woman, she's not taking care of the family, not the child. So we have something called a She Elevate program, which is a 360-degree wellness program, which helps the mind, body, physical fitness, grooming, as martial arts. It's a complete mix of different programs, but the underlying thing is to give confidence to women to be the best that they can be, and not to be ashamed of pursuing an opportunity or pursuing a career. And last but not the least, when it comes to the senior management positions, unfortunately, even today when we are talking about women in energy, climate and energy sector, it is almost like some jobs are kind of kept apart for women: HR, communication, finance, or maybe we hire a whole load of women in the shop floor and then kind of say that our overall percentage is here. But one of the best examples to take here is there are companies like Maersk, which is into shipping and logistics, an area which we won't even kind of associate with more women, and they are able to get more than 50% women in that industry sector. So what is stopping all of us? So more important is that women like us kind of come out and speak in the open about the opportunities which exist here and go beyond women, because as we stand here today, when we talk about gender, we are still thinking maybe men, women and third gender, but officially we are 163 gender identities and still counting. If we don't even know what these 163 gender identities are, how are we going to be inclusive in our workforce, and how are we going to get more of these people into the stream? So if we have to be truly DEI inclusive in the climate and energy sector, we need to be really understanding women and other genders and getting more of them into the workforce through awareness, skilling, competency building, and providing representation for women in similar forums. Thank you.
Actually, I also think that when I joined, maternity leave was only for 3 months, and we face such kind of problem what you said. But now as per central government policy, now the maternity leave is of 765 days. It is 2 years, and at that time when I joined, only 5 ladies were there. I was the 5th one who joined this Central Electricity Authority. Now, and it is less than 1%, even not 1%, 0.1% was there. And now with these policies and with all these things, now the percentage of women in central electricity is 15% total. So, and this kind of support that we got from the policy initiative, that was the great thing to women come to join and continue their job. Because earlier also they were joining, but they were leaving the job. But now they can continue, and 15% of our total women led. So this is one.
Thank you so much for sharing all these wonderful examples. It's great to know that genuine effort is being made, you know, at all the levels and at different organizations. I would also like to share just 2 positive stories. Before that, I would just give a message that, you know, our CEO Sanjeev Lamba, he's a big advocate and he supports a lot, and he's given us a 30 by 30 target, and we are looking forward to achieving it. So to have this gender balance target, you know, is also something that you need to have yourself, you need to keep your you know, some goals for yourself, because like the business is spread in 100 countries, so it's difficult to, you know, achieve, and that's why these kind of goals and positive messaging from the CEO really helps us. And in it, to support that, what we have done is, I would give you share 2 examples. One is both in India. So one is that we inaugurated female operated plant, a gas plant, you know, with all female. So that's a quite challenging thing to do, you know, because you're working at a plant site comes with a lot of challenges. So this is something that we did in 2022 and we are very proud of it. This is one of the things. And the other thing is that we, you know, like Preeti and other colleagues here mentioned that we don't have the right, you know, education and the skill development. So for that, you know, what we are doing is that this is the one time, you know, scenario, but we did an all female trainee batch in India. So when we hire them, you know, we are hoping to educate them, give them the opportunities, make them do the things, and then identify the right talent, you know, so they can kind of, you know, find their space in the organization, because there are a lot of disciplines, a lot of opportunities for them to grow. So these are some small success stories, you know, which are helping us, and I think we hope to continue to do that. So by this I mean that, you know, we need to set the right role models, right examples, you know. If this is going to happen and if we continue to do this, then I think these positive stories, and make a lot of noise around these positive stories. But that's what we did, you know. Sometimes it happens that we have an all female plant, and then, you know, one female decides to, you know, discontinue or do something else. But that's up to her, you know, because she's looking for other opportunities in the organization. But we should continue to make these efforts, you know. These are just small examples I shared from my organization. But if we look at these, you know, role modeling, you know, setting the examples, I think these positive stories are going to inspire more women to, you know, have these aspirations to join. So these are just some bits that I want to
This is a very important point, because you want the leadership to walk the talk.
Yeah.
You know, it's because whatever you say or whatever is there in the books will not translate to real work on the ground until. What would be your diversity ratio, if you don't mind saying? Chitra.
Go ahead.
No, Chitra, I just wanted to ask you, what would be your diversity numbers?
So,
percentage?
Yeah, so, you know, it's a little complicated with the organization is structured very complicated way, but so for let's say for engineering business, it's different. So I cannot, like, for the whole, I would say that we are nearing the 30%, I would say. So we're almost going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Since I come from the renewable sector, and I must say that we're not doing good in terms of females participation, and other sector average is around 12%. And I'm talking about all the companies put together. We are slightly above, and we have also got quite crazy targets for us. Now what we started is we thought we are not getting people at later entry hiring positions, so let's bring freshers. And now when we go to IITs and other leading institutes, we say we are going to hire only females. Now that's that's discrimination of different kinds. They say, how do we say only females should give their CVs? That's also wrong. And if we get, say, 50 people attending the test, and if we say all boys didn't make it, that's also wrong. So we were looking for institutes and for programs, first programs, like Preeti ma'am already said that we don't have programs. We have just 3 or 4 handful of universities, like University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun, there's Pandit Deendayal at Gandhinagar, only these few. So all the entire sector is going there. So, but problem is that we have not made it lucrative, as attractive for females. So it's not attractive. It's not attractive.
Designed for men. There is a proper study, sorry.
No.
They wear jackets, you know.
Yeah. So it's not attractive, and I'll give you my personal example. My daughter has got into engineering, and when she was choosing discipline, she never wanted to go to CS. And obvious choices, friends and family will say, CS liya kya? Generally, obvious choice. And I gave her a background. I keep on talking about India's energy, requirements, and 2070 net zero, all that. And I said you should opt. I wanted her to take electrical, and I keep on telling her that India needs electrical, mechanical, core people, especially females. In fact, it is same for male also. People, you don't find good talent in these sectors. And as Preeti ma'am said, you can always build on your AI, ML skills from these. But people don't understand that. So she took mechanical, and now whenever friends and family come, mechanical, yeah. That's the kind of reaction that comes. Now problem is that no one is encouraging her, and I keep on encouraging her. So out of a batch of 240, there are just 5 females. So problem is that at the school level, STEM education is not lucrative, and I'm happy to hear some comments that people are participating in at school level to sensitize people that there's a lot big career in comparison to IT. Yeah. But people think of same, infra, power, energy, remote location, 42-degree sun, who will send their daughters? But I think this sensitization is important for families now. We need to work from a family perspective, because fathers will not allow, husbands will not allow. And we're still, male-dominant society in the country. So that is where I feel the problem is. And even when we take people in our company, I face this issue. They'll say, oh, SCM de do, supply chain mein de do. Design, but little difficult to go to site. And design people have to go to site. And I'll tell you, one special niche skill in our sector is wind resource assessments. We don't have people in the country. Most of people have, gone out of the country to other lucrative locations. Yeah. And I feel that such a great career opportunity awaits. But how do...
बात सुनो, 42 डिग्री में साइड पे एक दिन चले भी गए तो क्या हो जाएगा?
Exactly.
What is the goal? Like, I don't get it. हम तो जाते ही थे.
बिल्कुल. तो
अभी भी जाते हैं. मतलब ऐसे थोड़ा ना कि CEO बन के तो 42 डिग्री की साइड पे नहीं जाओगे. सन तो equally निकल रहा है ना मर्दों और औरतों के लिए.
Exactly.
Same temperature for everybody.
And
no disparity.
As delicate also, I mean, we have women working in the rice plantations.
So
women working on
construction sites.
Working on rigs, oil rigs. Women work on oil rigs.
Yeah. I know that's
real.
Yeah. Exactly. No, you're right, and I'm surprised. And I'll tell you, we're talking about these. 5 years back, we did a CEO search, so we onboarded a new CEO, and it was a global search. Not even a single CEO, female CV. I was surprised. I kept on telling these people who were working for us. I said, "एक तो CV female का ले आओ, energy sector, no CV."
ग्लोबल में
But
देर
it
आर
happened-
मेनी
it
हाँ
happened with
ग्लोबल
us.
में नॉर्डिक्स में देर आर मेनी
Nordics
आपके सर्च पार्टी को दोबारा से रिफंड लो आप
So I'm saying
Okay.
that, you know, I think we need to work on a lot of
Radha wanted to make a
aspects.
point. So let's.
So, first of all, yeah, very refreshing, I think, to be with a group of women who represent a very different industry from where I work. But I think I'd like to bring in 2-3 learnings that we've had as a women's fund. We support work around climate change. We support work around building women-led climate resilience strategies. And I think one of the big learnings, and I'm seeing it also reflected here, is that how much do we really talk to each other?
Yeah.
And spaces to really come together and, you know, share, learn from each other. So I think from the work that we do and the work that we have seen and the work that we support with women-led organizations especially, is the need to actually hold these spaces very carefully.
Right.
Because the more you're able to hold these spaces, you're able to share. There is a lot of of course, fertilization of ideas, but I think you also start realizing that the problems that you face are not your own.
Yeah.
They are very shared problems, and so you can find shared solutions for it. I think whether it's the energy sector, finance, whichever sector, I think the fact that women don't talk enough to each other is an issue. And it's not encouraged in organizations. I mean, we have done audits for so many organizations, and we found that the kind of social circles, you know, what you were talking about, the social capital men are able to build for themselves simply because they hang out together after work, and they can because there's somebody else taking care of the stuff back home. So those spaces are absent for women. So I think one thing is, whichever sector, and especially in the energy sector, given the fact that everyone seems to be clueless, men and women, from what I understand, in terms of the potential, I think this is a great space to look at how do you start changing some of these, you know, long-held patterns, if I can say, in the way women can work. So I think this is a great leveler. It's also a great space to experiment with new ways of working. So there's great potential for that. So to that extent, I think one is to not give up on the idea of collectively sort of working on this issue, coming together, learning. I think those are really important. Organizations also don't have spaces. I don't know how many organizations I have seen where there's like a women's forum or a collective where you can even just come together. I mean, that's great. If you do, that's fantastic. But that's not very common, at least from what I have seen. So that is one piece. And the second piece I just wanted to highlight is also the fact that for young women who are entering STEM or young people, I've seen in the field that I work in, and with especially we work with Dalit Adivasi girls who are working, you know, who are in very remote parts. I think the celebration of role models makes it so aspirational and is so important because it makes it real. And I feel that that is not celebrated enough because this is seen as business as usual, or in the whole, and now we're seeing all the time big economies talking about how meritocracy is the basis. But we know that meritocracy is only flies up to a point because people have very different starting points on this journey. So from being a middle class, upper middle class, you know, upper caste, educated, English speaking woman, the kind of privileges that I can enjoy and the sectors I can enter, the education I have access to is very different from a counterpart of mine who may be coming from Bastar or who's impacted by what we're doing, what is happening in the climate space, but doesn't have a voice for. I think it's to be able to build, I think, those possibilities for young women. That building of those possibilities. I see a lot of cynicism now, actually, in many places where the opportunity has opened. So we recently did a field visit in Orissa where we found that young women are going to school. Yes, young girls are going to school. But if you ask them, karoge kya? After you finish your 12th standard, I think the options they have are just so limited. So the need to have, you know, so the need to make these possibilities real, the need to celebrate local, I think, heroes. When I say heroes, I mean women heroes. To make that aspiration real, I think, is celebrating these stories of success is very, very important. And finally, I just want to come back to one point, and this is what we strongly believe in the feminist circles that I work in, is that you cannot say that I'll wear one hat from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening and then I'll come back home and wear another hat. Until you internalize, gender is not out there. Gender is here, gender is here. It's how you live your your life, how you relate to women in your family, men in your family, young men. All of that matters in the way you take this agenda forward. And unfortunately, when we talk of workplaces, it's almost seen as that one, again, it's a kind of a echo chamber in a way, where you have policies, where you have structures, where gender or diversity is something you practice from a certain point of time in the day to a certain point in the day, but how much you really take back and practice is another question. So for this whole DEI agenda to become really relevant, I think it's important to build on the practice piece, which is about the self and how much you internalize this and practice this in your own life, because unless you do that, you won't actually be able to even see it in your workplace. So I just wanted to end by saying that taking this process of internalizing what JEDI means, the gender equity, diversity, inclusion lens really means in the day-to-day living that we do as women, the way we treat the domestic workers in our house, or the way we talk to the sons that we raise, the daughters that we raise. I mean, it's embedded in very small practices, but I think it has to start from there, which is equally important, is as important as having policies around maternity benefits and diversity and so on, because that has to be lived out on a daily basis. So that's something I really wanted to also table as being important.
Yeah, so I just want to point out three things, and we'll of course go to you. One is that are there lucrative careers for women in this sector? Because then only they will choose those subjects and they will think about those careers. Secondly, for the last 10 years, ITs and organizations like Facebook, Google, they've become so aspirational that people work towards building careers there. And there is so much out there in the open, Satya Nadella and these people make it famous. They're advertisements. So are you doing enough to showcase that there can be career for women in this particular sector? And number three is things like pay parity and other kind of policies.
Sure. Okay. So while I said the word commitment, right, and I'll just explain now why it means so much for PIL is, so when PIL took over from Reliance as part of Brookfield Company, we just had 2 women in the company of about 600 men. And it was a huge gender, disparity we could clearly see. If the commitment from board, if the commitment from our MD, Akhil, wouldn't have been there, and then eventually, management team got onboarded, today we are 62 in number. In last 5 years, it's the number that we have been able to achieve, and it's purely because of commitment. Commitment so much so that if the business would come, now these are the men who have never worked with women over the past 17, 18 years of their career. They don't even understand what diversity is, what does DEI really means. For them, मुझे मेरा pipeline चलाना है, मुझे मेरे sites पे operations चलाने हैं. That's what business means to me. Now, getting my operations head in line, getting my technical head in in alignment with the DEI agenda. ठीक है, आपको लड़के लेनी आप finance में ले लो, HR में ले लो, बहुत सारे areas हैं, वहाँ ले लो. ठीक है, but ये O&M और टेक्निकल सर्विसेज और पाइपलाइन ऑपरेशन सेंटर में बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. कैसे करेंगे, साइट्स पे जाके कैसे काम करेंगी? एज यू राइटली सेड 42 डिग्रीज, साउथ में तो और भी 50 डिग्री धूप होता है. कैसे ये लोग काम करेंगी? ऑड आवर्स में कभी भी मशीन चलाना पड़ता है, कभी भी GTC चलाना पड़ता है, कैसे काम करेंगी? वी सेड नथिंग डूइंग. रिसोर्स चाहिए तो यही मिलेगा, नहीं तो नहीं मिलेगा. Now you live with it, you don't want to live with it, it's completely up to you. Now that's the commitment what I was talking about, and hence it so strongly came out because we were, so see, as a CEO, probably as a board, you would be bothered about if we don't give right resources in time, what would happen to business. But I think somewhere that belief was there that if we have to get resources, we have to get this gender disparity first in place. So that's the level of commitment we started, in PIL when we talk about gender diversity. Very proud to say that now we have even sites where we have introduced diversity. Was it an easy task? No, but I think it also goes to a lot of women who have joined PIL and had shown the potential and have built in the trust amongst the leaders that, yes, even women can do it. I think that's extra responsibility we carry at work, but all thanks to them who have actually proven their mettle and made people comfortable, around this whole idea. Now, how did we even get these? Because we were talking about skilling and, getting the right skill set in picture when we don't have that kind of pool out there in terms of technology or mechanical, electrical, civil, those kind of areas. We went ahead, we went to very remote locations, we... Great. So, yeah. So, coming to the point that, how do you kind of bridge that gap of getting the entry pool first in place? We went ahead, we went to very remote locations, so much so, like, farmers' children were kind of talked about, of course, they were doing some diploma in kind of technical side, and they were talked about what were the potential careers ahead. We took 5 GETs, graduate engineering trainees, from these remote locations. We don't have too much of bandwidth in terms of hiring, so whatever we could have done in our capacity, we did. And we got these diploma engineering holding, girls in the company. We trained them for 1 year. Rigorous training was done. They were sent on sites. They were here in the head office. And after 1 year, they were posted back to the sites. So that's the kind of, skilling, upskilling, which should happen, and ideally not just for these lot, but across the organization. We talk about what are the potential, career, or what are the potential growth opportunities are there in the energy space. Another thing what I feel is we don't have sponsors at the top level. What you said at the start, that decision making, to influence the decision making, you need to have gender representation, and that's unfortunately not there today. Influencing those decisions possibly not happening because we don't have too many women sitting in the leadership positions. While leadership is gender agnostic, but what women and men bring are different perspectives, right? So that's another thing which we are lacking. The only person in the room is a most often occurrence, so we have to make it a little bit more rare. Now I think that should be the effort. While we talk about 24% diversity or 22% diversity in the energy infra sector, but as you move up, it's not even 10%. Yeah. That's very, very unfortunate. And if we don't have leadership or sponsorship or mentorship there, it'll be very difficult for women to even have role models to aspire. How do they even know that this exists, right? So I think advocating that part and taking some really structured approach around this whole mentorship and sponsorship will be really, really helpful. While, other policies, whether it's flexible working hours, whether it's helping women to transition from their maternity, what you said, stretching it from 6 months to 1 year, right? So all those things really, really help. Childcare leaves or parental leaves, again, gender agnostic parental leaves, giving some kind of a, when we talk about gendered expectations, women are still considered to be primary caregiver, right? Like whether it's taking care of the baby or taking care of the elderly people in the house. So having that support system in place for women is something we really, really need to focus on. One thing is we believe in it. I think the time is that we do something about it and accelerate that whole leadership bit now in this area for even juniors to see, how they can potentially grow in this industry. So yeah.
So I just wanted to share a framework to your point that I think we have to enable more women leaders.
Yes, yes.
Growing leaders. So there is a framework that at least it's sort of self-developed based on experience. I call it the 3E framework. So as women enter the organization, they have to be very, very proactive across these 3 E's. The first E is find your encourager.
Yes.
The guy who roots for you every day says, "ये बहुत अच्छा काम करी," रोज जाके बोलेगा. जब आप नहीं जा रहे ना drinks पे, वो जाके बोलेगा. That's the simple tone of it. Find your encourager who's encouraging you to keep going. That's really, really important because you don't always get that affirmation at home.
Yes.
So you have to find your tribe. Is another way of saying it.
Right.
The second E is enricher.
Right.
So when we talk about interoperability of skills, how do you actually learn fast? You learn fast through networks.
Yeah.
How do you get access to networks? Through your enricher. Your enricher, it could be like your chairman who likes you and is so well connected that when you get to that second position role, it's not your top role, he's opening that for you and enriching your learning, short-circuiting the cycle of learning from, say, electrical to pipeline management and pipeline operations management. Remember, operations management fundamental principles are all the same. Be it a pipeline, a bridge, a grid, they're all the same. You just need people in the industry connecting with you and sharing that sort of early signals of what you need to learn very quickly with you. So that's the enricher. And the third piece I always speak to, and this is the last and final guy, and I'm saying guy because it's often guys, at least in my life, majority of the times it was a guy. So it's just experiential, not necessarily true today. I'm sure I'll get the opportunity to do it for a woman, and I do. The last piece is the engager. Now this is the guy, the day the voting is being done, he engages his own credibility and says, hey guys, I'm going to back her. That, in other words, Aarti, you also call, Aarti, right? Manali, sorry, you call the sponsor.
Sponsors, yes.
Yeah. So these are practical tips, but when you start your career and you're sort of hitting your mid-level, my suggestion would be that you actively work in your organization. Women don't, I don't know why, but for some reason we don't do it naturally. I'm not so sure. वो बंदे नहीं ढूंढते हम जो हमारा काम करेंगे, हम खुद ही करते रहते हैं. तो ये basically active training 3E framework दे दो, बंदियां कर लेंगी, मेरे को लगता है. उनको जब तक framework नहीं मिला तब तक कुछ नहीं होने वाला. That's the way I feel about it. So that's just.
No, I think that's very important to have male ally. You know, like to have the male allies, because we have these employee resource groups where we talk about allyship. It's not just women. It's also male colleagues, because that really helps, you know, exactly like the point Preeti said. And what we have done is that also we have some line managers, you know, who are in the age group of, 45 to 55. So what happens is that we have initiated this intentional inclusive leadership programs, where we intentionally talk about these things, you know, where we educate the managers so that they see things differently. And that's where all these things that Preeti said, you know, how do you find this male ally? How do you network? How do you open up the channels? It happens because sometimes there are biases that you don't recognize and you don't know it's there in your subconscious, but you're somehow not aware of it. So through these trainings, we make them aware, and then it's nothing like they have a deadline to do something or they need to take an action tomorrow, but it's just like broadening, the mind and giving them this idea of what can be done, what is the possibility there. So it's then up to them. So we're just trying to educate, the line managers so that they can work with their teams and create more opportunities and possibilities for women. This is something that I think is really working for us.
Yeah, training the manager is always important.
Just quickly say, I think that's a very powerful framework and one I can very much identify. As you were saying, I was like, yeah, that was my encourager, that was my enricher and my engager. So I think it's a very powerful framework and I'll definitely use it and credit you with it. Because, I heard one of my female colleagues share a very nice term. She said, we were at CERAWeek and she was like, I don't self-reject. I was like, that's nice, and that was great because she was talking about her ambition and, she's a geopolitical analyst and she has the topmost ambition. She said, I want to be the Prime Minister of India and I don't self-reject. I said, great, it's so refreshing to hear.
There is talent required.
Yes. Very true.
May I add a few things from our organization?
Yeah.
So I am heading HR and administration across the group. So, as Preeti ma'am already mentioned, that visibility, do people know about it? So, yes, we are doing a lot of things to make aware, because people go to the petrol pumps, CNG pumps, but I myself never aspired to be part of a company who is actually operating into this, because my majority of my career is with Nestle. So, mostly it is food and beverages. So, I never aspired myself. Then how can I anticipate that others are going to aspire in this direction? But when I joined ThinkGas and started seeing that, okay, today we are 21% female employees across Pan India. And we have people in operations and maintenance projects. So this kind of awareness campaigns we do. Not only to the institute colleges, where we go to those colleges of Dehradun and Shiv Nadar, they have a separate course on energy and oil and gas, and the specific colleges, yes, it is there, but the normal colleges who are providing normal engineering streams, they should also know that a mechanical engineer is a must requirement in a CNG organization, CGD sector, city gas distribution. Civil engineers, they always see themselves as civil engineering means I have to go to the infrastructure, but that is a mandatory qualification in the project's function. And the kind of job which is very difficult, that the entire, who doesn't know about the CNG piece, the entire layout is done over the weekends at the midnight time. And being female, standing whole night on road doing the project execution is really very difficult. And in remote locations like Begusarai, in extreme Bihar, which is not also safe place. So me as HR is most important is women's safety. And then ensuring that I already mentioned women everywhere. So we have geographical areas where there is only one female employee out of 100 male employees. But my role is to make sure infrastructure, because I am a campus placed, I started my career from DCM Shriram, and I was the first female employee of their mother sugar plant. Out of 750, I was the only female employee where there was not even a female washroom. So I know myself the struggles, that wherever I stepped in, I stayed there for 5 years, and when I was leaving, the women ratio in plants was 40%.
Oh, wow.
And in Nestle also, when I was in plant locations like in Panipat, so there the problem was again safety. Women, they won't come. Then we started the initiative that during the CV screening, we remove the name and the gender. Screen the CV, because next step onwards you start speaking. So CV screening, there won't be any name, any gender. Then you start entering. So that is the thing. Third piece, here also we do that visit of the family. Like the family member is working with CGD, but none of the children are aspiring for that. So family visits, college visits is fine. Come, families also visit how it is happening, how the things are being taken care of. And the niche skills, liquid natural gas vehicles are not there much in India. So how come the awareness will come? So, which is not there in India, awareness is always low. So the technology and people knowing in that area is also very low. So automatically, to create that aspiration, free family visits over on Saturdays, come see where your father is working, so that the children will also start aspiring in that direction. So visibility, showcasing, not only in colleges but also in all levels, in every sector, not just freshers, bhardo, and then the gender ratio is up. So even requesting females from other organizations, no need to join us. Come visit us in our family day, just to make them acquainted. Then they will give the their own willingness towards that. I would also like to join this organization. So initially, just come associate with us. Those kind of initiatives we are taking. And when it comes to parity, now here, whatever I was listening for last some time, so here I am little different actually. So day by day, what is happening, that I personally, I felt very bad that when at the time of my age was 30 and I became the head HR, it is a very prestigious moment for me, but I felt very bad because people started saying, oh, you are a female, that's why you became the head HR. Otherwise, as a male, it takes 45 age of 45, 48, because these days companies have the KPI around women leaders. That's why. So my entire caliber, competence was demeaned. I am not from XLRI or TIS. So a normal college student, normal BTech MBA, how this lady is becoming a HR leader at the age of 30. So now my current managing director, he has 2 daughters. So he first meeting when we had, he said, so you are going to bring that KPI na, around diversity and inclusion? And no sir, it is the caliber who will win. But my point is only one, in our website, on Naukri.com, on LinkedIn, it should never be flashed, even if it is Begusarai or Nellore or wherever it is, that males preferred, opening is only for females, only for males. It is a general advertisement. Let people apply. That is my request. No KPI around it. no special treatment around it, and yes, the openness that everybody can speak to each other. And we have locations where there are only 2 females, and they are working for last 3 years happily, because as HR head I try to ensure first the infrastructure, second safety, and the zero discrimination, no special treatment by the boss, no negligence by the peers or the boss. So these things are very, very important in terms of parity. So there was a initially, whenever there is a female employee leaving, the exit interview of the manager with the, it was like the manager, oh, why she is leaving, it is so scared for me because it may hamper my appraisal because the female employee is leaving. And he is like, it is better that she get married and she is not joining other organization, leaving me, because he is associating the departure of female with his own appraisal. But the male is leaving, he is fine. So what culture we are actually reinforcing? मेल फीमेल करते करते उल्टा तो नहीं कर बैठ रहे हम कि डिस्क्रिमिनेशन को कुछ दिन बाद हमें वुमेंस डे की जगह मेंस डे तो नहीं बनाना पड़ जाएगा. और आज वॉट एवर वी आर स्पीकिंग सो गुड थिंग्स अबाउट दीज थिंग्स, नन ऑफ द मेल इज देयर टू लिसन टू अस.
And he's shy. I've met him few times.
We are talking for last 1.5 hours to bring change across the organization, in the culture, in the mindset, which is already a predominantly male driven organization, without having any of the male listeners also.
But we are learning from each other and we'll take
Exactly.
some messages
So
to
whenever
them.
I speak to my leaders during my sessions on unconscious bias or normally, so we always say that think of a child who is grown up with mom, single mom. Think of a child who is grown up with only father, and a child who has both mom and father. So
Which is better?
now you are the business drivers. You decide which one is good and what you want to bring to your business. Simple question. आप खुद डिसाइड कीजिए, आप सिंगल मॉम वाला चाहते हैं, वो भी अच्छी बात नहीं, सिंगल पापा वाला चाहते हैं, अगर ये आपकी चॉइस है तो चॉइस है. आप बिजनेस को फिर वही विजन दीजिए. और अगर आप चाहते हैं कि दोनों बैलेंस्ड हो तो वो बैलेंस्ड हो. लेकिन हम हर चीज़ में बोले हमें बैलेंस्ड चाहिए, पर इंटरव्यूज़ में नहीं, वो नाइट में कैसे काम करेगी, अरे वो गर्मी में कैसे जाएगी, बेटर वी टेक अ मेल, वो 3 शिफ्ट ऑपरेशंस में आ जाएंगे. देन डोंट टॉक अबाउट जेंडर डाइवर्सिटी, बैलेंसिंग. देन यू एग्री दैट यू आर अ मेन डोमिनेंट बिजनेस ड्राइवर.
So the thing is that we have enough research that proves that inclusive leadership always results
Better
in better
outcomes,
financial
yes.
results.
Yeah.
So there is research for that. But amazing points. I found your journey super inspiring when you said from 1 to 40%. Single female employee to 40% is very, very inspiring. And I love your analogy about two pair, male, female, mother, father being together with a child. Very, very interesting. And we often walk on a tight rope when you have to decide between meritocracy and diversity. This is no easy solution, and I think this is work in progress. Manju, I'd like to ask you, coming from Power Grid, if you can share some numbers, about your diversity. And secondly, I'd like to most importantly know from you is, from the middle order, how do you encourage women to take leadership positions?
Yeah, I would like to start that when I also joined 36 years ago. So I was the only girl in my batch of engineers. There were girls in HR, there were girls in finance, that too very few, but at least there were girls. But I was the only girl in my batch. And, but I didn't mind it, but yes, I had to hear many things. I was the topper of the batch also, and the same things that she is the girl, that's why she is topping the batch. But there was huge difference in the marks. So it was not that it was just by 5-10%. And our manager, he used to, he did conduct some sessions, and there he proved that she is topping by merit. That was a very great thing, that he asked people questions, and then when people couldn't answer, then he asked me. I was very reserved right from the beginning. Like at that time, I used to be very reserved. So I didn't answer any of the questions, even if I knew the answers. So he would ask me that, okay, now Manju, you tell me, I know you know the answer. So I would tell that, then that's why she's stopping. She's not stopping because she's a girl. All of you go to the plant visit. We are going in the Badarpur plant. We had a training there. So we were going there in like 42 degree, 48 degree, whatever it was. So we were going for the plant visits. Many of the guys used to skip that visit. That who will go? So obviously they couldn't answer, and whenever they'll go, they won't go up the plant. But I would go to the plant very sincerely, and so I could answer those questions. He said that's why she's stopping, not now. And when I now meet my batchmates, and if somebody introduced who doesn't know that he is my batchmate, he would introduce, she is Manju. He would say, yes, I know, I have copied her while in the training. We all took her notes, and so that was the condition at that time. And after the training, when I was posted in corporate center, then I was sent for a site visit. One reactor had failed at Korba. Korba, you know, it is in a very hot this thing. This I just want to answer Bhavna. She was saying that my father also, like, I never told my father why I am going, where I am going. Like, he just said, you are working, so work like an officer. Don't see that I used to come at 9 o'clock in the evening, even on those times. And at that time, I didn't own a car. Nobody owned a car, in fact. So I would used to come in auto, and I would come, and he never asked. There were no mobile phones in those times. I would come and I would tell that I had a meeting. So first of all is this trust issue, that your parents should have full trust in you. In girls, whenever, wherever they are going, they should have full trust. That whatever they are doing, it is for the, if they want to further your career, then it has to be there. Then I was sent there to Korba, and when I went there in corporate center, I had no issues. Means I didn't find any differences in girls and boys, but when I went there, they hadn't seen a girl in sight in a plant. So the first response was, corporate center mein koi ladka nahi hai kya? That this was a 2-member committee that had gone from the corporate center. One was a person, another person, male boy. But I said, why do you need a boy? I simply asked him. He was very senior to me, but I just asked him that, why do you need a boy? So then he said, no, you will sit here, and this is 48 degree here, so you will sit here, your complexion will get blackened. So I said, why are you bothered that this thing will happen? So these are the kind of, from there, I have come a long journey. It has been a long journey. So now we have come where we have in Power Grid, we have 4 pink substations, which are manned purely by girls. There, all girl staff is there. So now we are encouraging that yes, girls can also, earlier girls wouldn't come, that they would feel that we have to go to the site, and even the leadership was afraid of posting them at site. That no, they can't handle all these things. But we said, why don't you create infrastructure? You can have restrooms there. So now we are sending the girls, and they are also taking the postings by asking. They are asking that yes, we want to go to site. We want to have that exposure. So that is the difference, cultural shift that has come in the organization. So we have, now we have given more flexible work hours for girls, for site. At corporate center, it is for everybody. And for site, actually we have, ours is a function which we cannot, which is an essential function, I would say. So we cannot leave it. But for girls, we have provided flexible work hours. During my time, it used to be 3 months this maternity leave. Now government has made it 6 months. So ours is also 6 months, and 2 years child care leave, and 2 years sabbatical. So anybody can have, like, yeah. So it can be if somebody wants, and that doesn't affect the career. That is the main thing.
Yeah.
That it has been the, means being the, now I am the senior most woman there. So I make it sure that whosoever has taken maternity leave, whosoever is the returning mother, their appraisal doesn't get affected by this thing. That they are not there for 6 months. So earlier people would say she has worked only for 6 months, and the male has worked for 12 months. So there has to be some difference in the appraisal. So it should not be affected by this thing. Whatever she has done in 6 months, if that is well, then she should be promoted. So that is one thing. Then another thing is that we have made transportation for the women wherever they go. It is from the company side. If they are going on office work, then transport has to be arranged by the company. So that is one initiative we have taken. And also we have WIPs, Women in Public Sector. We have forum. We have POSH forum in every place. Like we have in every region, we have POSH and WIPs. So that is there where women activities are there. Then regarding the networking, you said, yes, I also feel that we are lacking in networking. Whenever we are like, we shy away from going out because normally our parties and all these dinners, they are happening, these are during dinner time only. So we are generally shying away as a woman. But we should not shy away. Like I have always been going to the dinners wherever these are happening. So whatever it is, in my family I was the first working woman in my in-laws' house. I was the first working woman that had come. So it was like a shock to them that there is a woman who is working, that too with such a job. They persuaded me that you go into some teaching job or something, but I said no, sorry, I am like this only. So, but then they accepted. So I would say that they try to fill you into stereotyped role and into a guilt that you are not taking care enough of your kids. You should take care of mother. Like they won't say anything, but they would give some statements that a mother is the best friend of their child. They should spend enough time. Like they would speak like something like this, so that you are filled with guilt. But I would say that one should not listen to all these things. Whatever you feel right, you should do that. I also have 2 sons. So they are well settled. So it is not that I didn't give them enough time, so they are not well settled. You have other ways to do this. You should have family support system and other support systems.
So
that should be there.
owing to the paucity of time, I just wanted to
just one more thing I would like to say. Right now I am like regarding the visibility, I would say I am director in 8 companies, out of which of 4 companies I am the chairperson. So earlier, I am there since last 5-6 years like this, but I was not going anywhere for the CSR works. Then I started going since last 3-4 years. So we are going to villages. So there I saw, it was a very humbling experience. Like when you go there and you see the girls there, because we are mostly doing in the education and health sector, and mostly for the girls' schools. So there if you see the girls, you find many, you can see that there are many girls who can really achieve very high in their life. But because of the opportunities, and when they see you that, okay, there is a lady who has come and who has risen to such position, so then I see their expressions. And what about the role models? You are saying that they find a role model that yes, if she can go there, we can also go there. Then I am flooded with the questions that how we can also do this. So that is really inspirational. That they find something. So from then I have made it a point that okay, I will go in all CSR initiatives wherever girls are involved. And that
so,
too in
this is very important. That
visibility is very important.
You need to be role models. All of you are role models, and you need to be out there to inspire women to actually aspire to work and rise to the top, because you all are at the top. So lastly, I just want to ask you that, employer branding is such a sharp tool. So how many of you have a strategy around to use employer branding to attract women? And somehow 1 or 2 best practices if you can share.
Before entering into that thing, just to add Manju ma'am's point and what Anuradha ma'am was also mentioning about the how we grow up our children. So when I was in my adolescent age, I'm the only child of my parents, and even in my first job, every time ये तो मेरा बेटा है, बेटी नहीं है. जॉब में भी स्वस्तिका ने नहीं, स्वस्तिक ने ज्वाइन किया है. तो आई यूज़ टू टेक इट एज अ रिकग्निशन. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी कि दे आर ट्रीटिंग मी एज इफ इट इज़ अ रिवॉर्ड. बट व्हेन आई जॉइन नेस्ले, देन दिस अनकॉन्शियस बायस एंड these diversity, equality, I started understanding myself, because in that organization there was a lot of focus on the words you are using. That don't use manpower, use workforce. So what kind of words we are using unconsciously in a Indian middle class setup, we ourselves say a lot of words which is actually creating a bias कि मेरा तो बेटा है बेटा and I'm feeling good about it. So why beta hai? Why beti is beta is a kind of a reward word. So ye unconscious bias is also something which in my current organization also I am taking it as an initiative to replace those words in writing, in speaking. So in this forum I would like to also mention that we should really focus more the usage of our languages in our official setups, so that unconsciously we do not treat the woman in a different way.
Okay, so I think I will share one practice, and we did this 3 years ago. We run Women in Energy Impact Campaign. So you can Google it. Every year we take a message, and I put money where my mouth is behind that message. So for example, last year we did it on solar PV technicians. This is a beautiful mass media reach out infomercial of sorts, which shows that a boy is actually playing. छत पे खेल रहा है और बोल रहा है मम्मी तो बड़ी बिजी है, मम्मी हमेशा छत पे रहती है, and everybody thinks कि अचार बना रही होंगी, and it's actually in the end और in the end like वो आती नहीं है, वो ऐसे नहीं है, वैसे नहीं है कर रहा है, and then in the end like he goes up with his papa and he sees mummy is actually doing solar PV technician work. Wow. So there is that ad. This year our ad is about school में एक project मिलता है, and the girl makes a smart home which is full with solar connected to the grid and is powering the solar lights as well, and उसको स्कूल का टीचर बोलता है कि बेटा तुम्हें बोला था ना कि पापा की हेल्प नहीं लेनी है, तो बोलती मैंने पापा की हेल्प नहीं ली है, तो बोलता है कि ओके फिर तुम मान नहीं रही हो तो मैं तुम्हारी टीचर को बुलाता हूँ, टीचर आके पूछती है बेटे तुम्हें बोला था पापा की हेल्प नहीं लेनी, कहती है मैंने पापा की हेल्प नहीं ली है, फिर प्रिंसिपल को बुलाते हैं, प्रिंसिपल कहता है बेटे देखो तुम्हें बोला था कि पापा की हेल्प नहीं लेनी है, तो बोलती मैंने पापा की हेल्प नहीं ली है, एंड देन फाइनली लाइक दे से कि भाई ओके वी दिस किड इज नॉट telling us the truth. That's the bias of the entire school system, that she is not telling us the truth. So they say पापा को बुलाओ, तो पापा को बुलाते हैं, तो पापा आते हैं, तो पापा को बोलते हैं कि देखिए ऐसे ऐसे है, दिस इज टू स्मार्ट अ प्रोजेक्ट, ये तो ये इस आपकी हेल्प के बिना कर ही नहीं सकती, और हमने बोला था कि पापा की हेल्प नहीं लेनी है, तो वो बोलते हैं कि हाँ ठीक ही तो कह रही है, उसने पापा की हेल्प नहीं ली है, एंड देन वी शो वी कट and it's a solar engineer from Luminous, and it's her mother. Wow. Nice. So this is more we did it look I don't think this is anything exceptional if I'm honest, but I felt that at least in our industry, which is power solutions and energy in a very fragmented rooftop solar segment, there was no visualization of either the bias or the opportunity, so that's an effort we make around and we launch them each year around Women's Day, but we then put something behind it as well. So behind it is our solar PV technician course. We train 900 odd men and women. We never discriminate on a course. And then we also brought in our sponsorship of Rajasthan Royals. We are principal sponsors of Rajasthan Royals. We have lost 2 matches, that is terrible, but nevertheless. But what we did do is that in Sambal, गांव में हमने उनके साथ water conservation project करा along with solar PV training, and then the young girls who did that, we brought them to the media launch day when we were going back into the season to talk about, and like I can tell you that. So it's at all levels, I guess, is what I'm saying. My entire CSR plan is aligned to solar growth strategy, and every piece of media communication, wherever an opportunity is there, is aligned to solar and accelerating the message of women in energy or inclusion broadly in energy.
We are celebrating 9/11 Divas.
Ah,
9/11 Divas.
And
it's all over India, and it's a genuine all Indian transport and this cause. And we searched for what is the percentage of these 9 women. So in Odisha, some 9 women were there, and we called them. Only 9 or 10 women were there.
Would you like to use the mic? They're recording, so companies.
Yes. So we called them, and then we called them on the stage also. And her story was very nice, very inspiring, because lineman is a line women, a line man actually, it's worldwide, is line man. So, and that line women, she said that she joined, and then what was the perception of the utility that she joined, and when she wanted to work as a line woman, but utilities were not allowing them to work as a line woman, and somehow she was fed up, and she went to her this employer and said, if you are not allowing me to then allow me to pursue my studies. So there also there was some policy actually, there was some gap, and so that could also was not could not happen. So and that stories we could get that kind of perception, or if women are not at enough at some position, their voice are also not being heard. So we thought that first we should collect them, whatever data we can collect them, where we can project them that line women can, this is also a kind of job that women can do, and we will project them as a central government, and we will also call them and we will say ki this you can join. So these are the things we are also including in our sector. So this is also a kind of from leadership to the last mile of connectivity that the line men or line women are there. So this is also a great experience for us.
In the beginning, one of you also used the word celebration. So I think your, company page, your social media presence, the more stories you put up for women, that will also get a long way, because the younger generation, they spend so much time on social media. You'll get your potential employees there. So we've had a fabulous discussion.
I just wanted to make one point, is that the whole world today is so data driven and evidence driven. I think the evidence that you can put out there, which I know there's a lot of evidence around how diversity adds to the bottom line of a company, but evidence in terms of, and coming from the sector that I do, that when you support women's leadership, all that it unleashes, it's not just limited to her family or her, but it actually impacts communities and communities to nations. And that, I think we say all this, but the evidence to actually show how that works, I don't think we go back to that sufficiently. So it becomes a feel-good kind of a message. So as a women's fund, for example, we are very committed to evidence-based brand building. So when you say invest in women, or give capital for women's causes, or promote women's enterprises, what is it that is enabling them, that and flexible capital? What is flexible capital enabling women to achieve? Versus a bank giving a very standard kind of a loan to a woman. That evidence, I think we don't capture enough of. And so as a fund, we are very intentional about saying, yes, you need to, it's not just about giving resources to women, but how that resource reaches her. And what it does to her has to be captured. It can't be कि मैं बदल गई, but कैसे बदली, क्या हुआ, just unpacking that whole story is so important. And to say this may be one story, but it projects what many women, I'm just trying to underline that evidence-based, I think, brand building is very critical in today's world. Otherwise, it's always dissed as just these few women. This is happening with a few richer women or wealthier women or women from this class or this community. But that's not the case. So I think while we do brand building, this evidence piece, I think, is really critical in today's world.
Yeah, very quickly, I think while we heard different views, but having this set KPI in the leadership to ensure, gender inclusivity has really helped. And as I said, it's on the other side where we have a lot more women in the organization, but also just resonate with this whole thought of celebration. I think it's so overwhelming and so inspiring to see there were a lot of women who were just one of the kinds in the whole batch of 200, 300. So for example, Sudha Murthy coming on television and talking about her journey, really inspires a lot of people. So definitely these kind of examples do inspire other women, but at the same time you mentioned, I don't want to be the one who self-reject, but at the same time, I really want maybe few years down the line be in a space where unfortunately we also don't have to over-promote ourselves. Men are not like telling, okay, we can do this, we can do that, but on the other hand, we have to keep telling we are worthy enough, we can do this. You run those kind of campaigns. So it's, I mean, while it can inspire, but on the other hand, even I felt, why do we have to do that? We are equal.
You know, I agree with you, because I mean, growing up, I grew up in a very inclusive environment, and there was never a discrimination at home. So suddenly I come into the workforce and I have to be so gender conscious and so much gender identity, which I never had to grow up with. So it actually I had to learn at the workplace to, you know, assert when otherwise I never had to do it. But of course, you know, we all have different starting points, and we have to appreciate that, you know, we have to do it.
Yeah.
नहीं I think yeah.
I think it's both. We have to do both. I think we have to make noise also, we have to speak up also, and we have to act also. Just because there is this myth that we are missing, the DEI myth that, you know, DEI means lowering the bar. This is there in the society. We need to address this. Nobody is talking about it. This myth is something that is the most pervasive definition of DEI that is out there. So we need to work on that. And that's the reason for a little while I think we'll have to make these statements. But it will get, you know, we'll get over this.
The point is that, you know, it's a very complex country. So while some people say that we strategize in India, but we operate in Bharat. So some of these things, you know, probably why do we need to make a noise? Why do we have to show that I'm a woman and I've done this? It's because the things are very different at the grassroots level. And in the, you know, far-flung corners or the remote villages of India. So maybe till we can reach a mid-level, we need to
keep doing
so
that.
Also in office, we are in minority. So because we are in minority, we have to make our voice heard.
So historically, we have been dominated.
Nobody is coming to us and they will ask us something unless and until we make ourselves visible and we make ourselves valued.
So the power of branding and celebration.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, that's why we have to make certain, like, men may not need to make a noise for that.
Yeah, but till now, male child is yet in some of the part of our society, you know, sought after.
Yes.
So we have a long way to go before.
One example, that when we started our geographical area offices, the rural area, the village people, they used to approach us, मेरी wife को अगर housekeeping में आपको चाहिए तो ले लीजिए, pantry में चाहिए तो ले लीजिए, and there is a position in contractual, the filling man. So we changed the name filling person and we started females having there. So initial first two females, that dress of the branding dress of jumpsuit kind of a dress, overalls, and then the posters that this female, so entire village used to come to see that our that house's bride is on the poster and the request that housekeeping mein le lijiye, pantry mein le lijiye came to at their level that our house people are also, our females are also willing to be a filling person.
I mean, to Vibhuti's point, I think what you make is a very pertinent point. Why is my capability not assumed while my male counterparts is? I think practically speaking, there is a lot of research on what is called the glass cliff. What is also called the glass poison. You have a look at it. And I think, you know, I have asked this question many, many times, and then I started looking at these things. I'm not saying that this is gender. And when I talked about inclusion, I started my statement by saying power distribution. What we are asking for is power distribution, not the literal power distribution. We are asking for power distribution. This is not a comfortable subject. And when you ask for power distribution, in my experience, it's purely my experience,
everything in the kitty that can be used. So an election is a power distribution. Everything in the kitty that can be used to displace you, to damage your reputation, to dissuade you from your persistence will be used, because there is no desire in the winning party to lose. And that's the practicality. This is purely economical. And we have to be dispassionate about it. In that respect, and since you are an economics graduate, I thought you would appreciate this perspective.
So, with this, we'll wrap up this conversation here, and we've got some IT there. We'll continue, along with some food and coffee. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I am so proud of all of you. And it was wonderful hearing your stories. We all have a roadmap ahead, and not only the energy sector is transforming so much, with the net zero and renewable gases. Women will play a key role in transformation, and everybody needs to understand that. Thank you so much.